Hey guys, it's me, Poppy Rain here, coming to you with a new video. Today's video is going to be what I've read for 2020. So, if you guys are new here, I do monthly what I read videos because my goal for 2020 was to read one book a month, which is not quite what happened. I mean, I did read over 12 books because some months I read more than others. But this is going to be a year at a glance. So, for 2020, I read a total of 20 books. That was 1 ebook, 6 audiobooks, and 13 actual, physical books. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the books. I'm going to talk about each book in each category. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to do ratings. I'm going to rate each book and why they got the ratings they got. The ratings are 1 to 10. 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. Which I'll tell you, overall, they didn't really get, most of the books didn't get, they got pretty decent ratings for most of the books. There was only, one that didn't get a very good rating. But, yeah. I don't remember what month I read these in. I went through my videos to find out. I didn't really keep track of, what months, but for ebooks, I read Bilbo's Last Song, which I don't even honestly remember reading. I think I read it because I love Lord of the Rings. I love The Hobbit. Honestly, out of Lord of the Rings, I think The Hobbit's my absolute favorite. Out of all of them, I love the whole Hobbit series. The Hobbit book was my favorite. It was the only one that didn't, make me bored to tears. I loved Smaug and the whole battle with Smaug and all that. I liked how the elves were such a big part of that book and everything. I really liked it. Of movies. I really liked, movie-wise, I loved the music too. I just loved everything about, The Hobbit was my favorite. I loved the battle in the last movie. The Battle of the Five Armies. I loved the whole battle with Smaug and everything. Yeah, it was just really captivating. It was my absolute favorite. So I read Bilbo's Last Song. And I honestly don't really remember much of it, I'm sorry to say. Now, the ebooks and the audiobooks I read through the Libby app. Not through, Audible or anything. The Libby app is one of my libraries. My library, so, I don't know if all our libraries in my county do this, but the library by our house and the library I grew up with, they do ebooks and audiobooks. You can read, and I think the library has 2 uses, or you can read it on, or Kindle, and I don't have my Kindle anymore. I tried the Kindle, I couldn't get into it, wasn't for me, and ebooks are really hard for me to read, because my eyes are so bad, I get tired really quickly, but I like the audiobooks, because I can doing other things while listening to the audiobook. While I'm playing Pokemon Go, or when I used to walk to babysit, or when I'm cleaning, or, so that's kind of a nice thing. That was the one ebook I read. For audiobooks, I read Fellowship of the Rings, which is the first book of technically, The Hobbit is the first book of the Lord of the Rings series, even though the movies came out. Fellowship of the Rings, Return of the King, and Two Towers. And when The Hobbit came last, it was Hobbit, The Great Beginning, I think is what it's called. Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug, and then Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies. Because that was the order the books came out. The Hobbit, the movies were split in three parts, but it was one book. That was how the books came out. But that was not how they were read. So I don't have The Hobbit on here because I read that years and years ago. But I read Fellowship of the Rings. I Am Malala, which was really good. It's about Malala Yousafzai or whatever. I think the documentary is still on Netflix. It's called They Called Me Malala, or My Name is Malala, something like that. She was shot by the Taliban. I can't remember where they're from. From the Swat Valley. Can't remember where that is, but she was shot because her dad owned a school for girls. And if you guys know anything about Muslims and like Islamic culture and whatever, that it's permitted after a certain age. It's not permitted for women to go to school after a certain age. I can't remember what that age is, but she got shot and survived. So it's like her whole, it's an I can't talk. It's an autobiography. She also has a charity that she runs that I used to support. It's called the Malala Fund. It helps girls all over the world get school supplies and be able to go to school and stuff. Sorry guys, don't mind me. I'm currently finishing my dinner. Then I read The Two Towers. And I read Return of the King. So I can officially say I've read all of the Lord of the Rings books. I read Small Great Things by Jodi. So Bilbo's last song, I can't remember if that's by J.R.R. Tolkien or not. All the Lord of the Rings books are by J.R.R. Tolkien. I Am Malala is by Malala Yousafzai or whatever. I don't know how you say her last name. I read Small Great Things by Jodi Picoult. This was about a African American lady who worked in a hospital and got accused of killing the son of a white Nazi supremacist and his wife, because the baby died. I can't exactly remember how the baby died. The baby had like, I don't know, it was like a whole thing. Like I mentioned before, Jodi Picoult is one of my favorite authors. And then I read The Magician's Nephew by C.S. Lewis, which is the first book to the Chronicles of Narnia. I always thought it was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It's not. The only books I've ever read in this series are Lion, the Witch, and Wardrobe. I've read like 3 times. I've seen all the movies. And I read The Magician's Nephew. Magician's Nephew is a story of how Narnia is found and how the wardrobe comes to be. Then for actual books, I read Bayle. I don't remember who that was by. It was this book about fairies. I just really liked the cover of it. I don't know what else to say about that. I read, for Christmas I had gotten a bunch of books last year, so I have those all listed. So one of the books I got for Christmas was Miracle in the Mundane by Tyler Knott Gregson. Because I got one of his books from, wait, I think the other book is on here, because I reread it. Yeah, Wild into the Dark. Which I actually got at Daddy's work. In case you don't know, Daddy works at Five Below. And I absolutely love it. I loved that book. It's a poetry book. Miracles of the Mundane is not so much a poetry book. It's like poetry mixed in with like other stuff, and I just didn't like it because I thought it was gonna be straight up poetry. But I really liked that one. Next we have a book that I actually found at the Dollar Tree of all places. Now We Are 600. It was a Doctor Who book that was all set up in like poems. It talked about like the Daleks and Adipo, and I think the Stone Angels or Weeping Angels or whatever the heck they're called. I only got into the first like 3 seasons of I got like halfway through season 3 of Doctor Who. I didn't get very far into Doctor Who. The next book I read was People Kill People, which is my second favorite author, which is Ellen Hopkins. She writes Crank, Monster. I can't remember what else is in the series. It's Crank, Monster, Glass. Crank, Monster, Glass. I can't remember. I think there's one more in the series, and I can't remember. She does Smoked, Burned, Impulse, Tricks. I've read so many of her books. I love her books because they're cool. They're like set up in poetry style. So they're they're like 500-page books, but the way they're set up, they're super easy to read. I read Perfect. So I read People Kill People. That was another one of the books I got for Christmas. Another book I read was So my favorite poetry book, my favorite poet ever is Shel Silverstein, but my favorite poem is Annabel Lee by Edgar Allan Poe. One of my all-time favorite Shel Silverstein poems, which is in the book, I believe, Light in the Attic. I can't remember if it's in Light in the Attic or Where the Sidewalk Ends, but it's Prayer for a Selfish Child. It says, "Now I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And if I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my toys to break. So none of the other kids can use them, amen." Or, I love, I'm Sick. I can't remember the whole thing, but it's, which again I think is in Light in the Attic. I don't think it's in Where the Sidewalk Ends. I cannot go to school today, said little Peggy Ann McKay. I have the needles and the mumps, a gas or rash, purple bumps. And it goes on and on and on. And say, "Oh, what's that you say? Today is Saturday? Goodbye. I'm going out to play." Or, "It's rather dark, and here's another really good one." I'm trying to think. What other poems? There's a whole bunch that I really like. So I read a couple of his books. I read Falling Up. I read Where the Sidewalk Ends. And I read Light in the Attic. Kenna, what are you doing?
Nothing.
Why are you in here? You're not supposed to be in here.
Okay.
I don't know what this book is.
Hi.
I mean, Where the Sidewalk Ends. It is my favorite book by Shel Silverstein. I mean, I like most of his books. I read, for you guys on this channel, I read Runny Babbitt, which was, no. I couldn't, and the other one I don't like is The Giving Tree. I mean, I've read a bunch of his books and stuff on here for you guys. I think I read bits and pieces of, like, Falling Up and Where the Sidewalk Ends and, Light in the Attic. I don't know what everything on it is. because I didn't put down, like, authors or anything, so I don't really know what that book is. Apparently, that was on there when I read. Oh, I read Rhythm and Roads. That was the other one I got for Christmas last year, which was really good, too. That was by, oh, what is her name? It was similar to Wild Into the Dark by Taylor Knott Gregson. I can't think of the girl's name. But it was similar. She has a similar poetry style to him. Which I really liked. Eyes Open. It's part of the, I'm trying to think of the name of the series. Outlaw series by Ted Dekker.
Good night, Mom.
That's one of the 3 that I've read. I actually found that at Ollie's. It was really good. I'm a huge Ted Dekker fan. I've read Monster. I've read House. I've read Kiss. I've read, oh, I can't remember what it's called. It's called, like, Killer Bride or Bride Killer or something. I can't think what it's called. That was really good, too. And I think I read one other one, too. And I can't remember the names of the ones I read from the Outlaw series, but those were really good. I love, like, the twists in them. Like, they make you think one thing, and then it's something totally different. I did a reread, which was Searching for David's Heart. Not as good as I remembered it to be. It was, like, my favorite book. I was obsessed with it. Not as good as I remembered it to be, but still pretty good. It's about a girl who gets in a fight with her brother. And her brother's chasing after her and gets hit by a car and gets killed. Her brother, David. And they were, like, best friends. So she goes searching. Her brother was a organ donor. So she goes searching for the recipient of David's heart. And take a whole story about that. And then the last one I read, which I briefly touched on if you saw what I read for the month of December, was another Jodi Picoult book, which is Sing Your Way Home. Which I'm not really going to super go into detail about. Because Sing Your Way Home, because I'm sure, I think that what I read for December video is going to come out around the same time as this video. So you can just watch that video. So anyways, now we're going to get on to the ratings. The rating is scale from 1 to 10. So I'll tell you a brief summary of the ratings, and then I'll tell you what the actual ratings were for each book. There are no books got a 0. There were no books that got a 1. No books that got a 2. One book I gave a 3. Nothing got a 4. One book got a 5. One book got a 6. There were 7 books that got a 7. 8 that got a 5. 1 that got a 9 and 1 that got a 10. Not really sure. Okay. And actually, Wild Into the Dark, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but that was a reread as well. So, for ebooks, Bilbo's Last Song got a 7. Because I don't honestly remember reading the book. I don't remember the book. I don't remember the story. But it mainly got a 7. And so that was part of the reason it got a 7. The other reason it got a 7 is because I love the Lord of the Rings movies, don't get me wrong. But the books are just drawn out and, like, long. And The Hobbit is the only one that I actually really cared for. So as audiobooks go, Fellowship of the Rings, Two Towers, and Return of the King, I'm just going to lump together because they all got 7s for the same reasons. They're long, they're drawn out, they're kind of meh, they're not as good as the movies. I mean, because it's hard to read about an action scene. Like, you know, it's hard to read an action, like a fight scene. It's kind of crappy when you read it. It's better to watch. That's the kind of thing like you have to watch, not read. I Am Malala got 8. It got an 8 just because it was really long and I felt like it was kind of drawn out. And it wasn't as good as the documentary. But it got an 8 because I hate autobiographies. I hate documentaries. but it's literally one of my favorites on the whole planet. I absolutely love her story, and she's really inspirational to me. She's one of my heroes, along with Matt Roloff from Little People, used to be. And there was, I can't remember who the other one was. And I think the other one was Jennifer Klein. I don't know. She's just really inspirational to me. And then, what was the other one I read? Oh, Small Great Things. Got a 7. It's been my least favorite of the Jodi Picoult books. It's long. It was kind of dull, kind of boring. Like, a lot of her books start out pretty boring. In the middle, it starts to get better and better. And then the ending is really, like, suspenseful. Like, and it's, like, you know, and you're, like, towards the end, you're, like, what's the ending going to be? Like, what's, you know? Like, not so much with Sing Your Way Home. But OI was really good because I like, in case you don't know, or Handle with Care. It's about a little girl. I don't think I had Handle with Care on here. I think I might have read it before, but it's about a little girl with OI, which is osteoperitica. And I really like weird diseases, like people like Tree Man and like the world's tallest man, the world's shortest person, like all that kind of stuff is really fascinating to me. Conjoined twins. So Small Great Things, I don't know. It was kind of dull, but I didn't want to give it a 7. I didn't want to give it like a super low rating, but I gave it a 7 because because it is a Jodi Picoult book. Magician's Nephew was horrible. I was bored. I couldn't get into it. Like, I tried to read it once in actual book form because I had a big book that had all the Lord of the Rings, the Chronicles of Narnia books. I couldn't read it. It was horrible. Like, bored me to tears. So it got a 6. For actual books, Bayale got a 5 because I thought it was going to be really cool based on the cover and whatever. Yeah, it bored me to tears. I'm very picky about stuff like with fairies and stuff. I'm more like, I'll read vampire books, no problem, as long as it's not Twilight. Like, I read the first Vampire Chronicles, that was good. I hate Twilight with a passion. But I mean, that one was just kind of meh. Miracle of the Mundane got a 3 because I thought it was going to be a poetry book, and it was like poetry with other stuff, and it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So I was very disappointed. Not that it was bad, it was just not what I thought it was going to be. Wild Into the Dark is hands down one of my favorite, well, yeah, my favorite, I think it's like probably my second favorite, or my third favorite. Third or fourth favorite poetry book ever. My first favorite poetry book is hands down Where the Sidewalk Ends, then Light in the Attic, then Probably Falling Up, then Wild Into the Dark. I loved it. It was so good. I loved a lot of the poems. They really were inspirational to me. Now We Are 600. I gave a 7 because it's Doctor Who, first of all. You know, I'm not like a super Whovian anymore. I was only briefly a Whovian to try and impress some chick. I gave it a 7 because I loved the poetry style that they wrote in. It was kind of funny and whimsical. But it wasn't like my favorite thing ever. People Who Kill People. Again, it's Ellen Hopkins. It was my least favorite Ellen Hopkins book ever. And I didn't want to give it a bad rating. It just wasn't my thing. It was like weird the way it was set up. Because it's about People Who Kill People is about gun violence. And like it was set up from like the point of the narrator, which I'm assuming was the gun, and like the people. Like, and the people always intertwine in her books. So, like the way she has them all set up is like there's different narrators. Like there's one main, like a lot of times there's one main narrator, then there's a bunch of characters. And each characters or stories connect somehow. But it doesn't seem like they connect at first, but then they eventually connect. I couldn't get into it. It's as it is. Falling Up, I gave an 8. Again, Falling Up and Light in the Attic got 8s because I love them. They were really good, like, you know. And Where the Sidewalk Ends got a 9. So the reason they got 8s and 9s is because I can't remember which ones have my favorite poems in them. So that's how I based it off of, is like which one has the best poems. Is how I rated those. Everything on it, I gave a 7. I honestly really don't know what to say about that because I don't remember that book whatsoever. Rhythm and Roads got an 8. Just because it wasn't quite as good as Tyler Knott Gregson's Wild Into the Dark. But it wasn't, but like, it was pretty close. So I gave that an 8. Eyes Open, I gave a hard 10. Because that's my favorite. I don't read like the Circle series and by Ted Dekker, but the Outlaw series is like my absolute favorite. And the nice thing is you can read them out of order. You can literally read all the books. You don't have to read them in any order. Searching for David's Heart, I gave an 8 because it really touched me the first time I read it, and I watched the movie and fell in love. Then when I reread it, it wasn't as exciting as I had remembered. So I got an 8. And then Sing Your Way Home got a 9. So I loved how it was about like gay marriage, and like her stories are always about some kind of struggle. Someone, like in her story, someone's always struggling. Like if you guys have ever seen or read My Sister's Keeper, like it's about a girl struggling to be her own person. A girl that was born to be a donor body for her dying sister. In Handle with Care, it's about a girl with osteo imperfecta struggling. Well, actually, I think the story was more about the sister of her and like her journey, struggling, being, yes, she was the older sister. At the same time, like, it's her struggle being stuck with a sister with osteo imperfecta, parents fighting, and like this whole, you know. And then House Arrest was a struggle between an autistic boy and the court system, being blamed for something, you know. Like, because he was autistic, like, he was trying to struggle to stand up for himself. Anytime he tried to stand up for himself, it just made him look more guilty. You know? Small Great Things was a struggle between African American, non-racist African American, and white supremacist, Nazi. You know, like, it always has like some kind of struggle. They're so like a lot of their stories are so like relatable. Her stories. So I really liked. So I gave, what did I give? So I gave Sing Your Way Home a 9 because it did kind of bore me, but overall it wasn't bad. So yeah, that's what I rated them. And that was basically what I read for the month of 2020, for the year of 2020. And as I mentioned in my video on what I read for December of 2020, I had mentioned that I didn't know if I was going to be doing. You guys can comment down below. If you'd like me to keep doing the monthly videos, I will. If not, I'll just do like the months that I actually read something. Because I'm not going to sit there and do like, oh, I didn't read. Like, I don't feel that it's productive. Like, I don't feel like anybody wants to care to hear a list of what I didn't finish reading for the month. You know what I mean? They want to know what I actually, like, read. So I'm not going to do videos of, I didn't read anything this month. Here's what I have. Here's the 50 million books I have started. So, yeah, but I'm going to go. I will catch you on the flip side. Bye, guys.